Welcome to AHRC TV's weekly roundup. I'm Josephina Bergström. AHRC TV is pleased to announce that Basil Fernando, the Asian Human Rights Commission's former Executive Director and current Director for Policy and Program Development, will be awarded the Right Livelihood Award for his outstanding work to support and document the implementation of human rights in Asia. The award will be presented to Mr. Fernando in Stockholm, Sweden in early December. The Right Livelihood Award, also widely known as the Alternative Nobel Prize, annually honors and supports those offering practical and exemplary answers to the most urgent challenges facing us today on behalf of our planet and its people. The award was established in 1980 by a Swedish-German philanthropist. Basil Fernando's career as a leading human rights defender in Asia spans 30 years. 20 of those at the helm of the Asian Human Rights Commission. To reflect on the work of Mr. Fernando and the significance of this award, AHRC TV speaks with Jack Clancy and Bijo Francis, Chairperson of the Board of Directors and Executive Director at the Asian Human Rights Commission, respectively. Over to them.
I first met Basil Fernando when he was a law student. He came to Hong Kong for a meeting. A year later, I went to Colombo, visited him there. We kept in contact over the years. And then in 1989, when 30,000 or 60,000 people were being disappeared in Sri Lanka, Basil all of a sudden arrived in Hong Kong unannounced, and I helped him to get settled here. He found a job with the United Nations, working first with the refugees, and then later in Cambodia. And then he later gave up a good job with the United Nations and came back to help us to set up as a one-man band at first with the Asian Human Rights Commission. Gradually built up the team, and now he's produced fantastic work. He has great compassion for persons. He also has this compassion out of his own personal experience. He himself, as I mentioned, was put on this disappeared or to be disappeared list, and he went through all that fear and suffering and anxiety that people went through. And I think it's this compassion for others, rooted in his own experience and out of his own background of concern for basic values for others, as well as I think a genuine sense of compassion for the other, reaching out to the others, particularly poor people who are made to suffer unnecessarily. We have in Asia a system of impunity where local level police officers mostly, but as well as prosecutors, judges, really don't care about protecting the rights and the lives of ordinary poor people. Basil has spoken up and for these people. He came across this first in Sri Lanka as a lawyer and beginning to understand how the system was not only not protecting people, but in fact hurting them. By policemen were unnecessarily beating up people just to get bribes. The whole court system, people around the court, the clerks and others, would be sitting around as touts looking for money, ways to make money for people who were being charged. Even bribes being passed to judges. I think key to this whole thing is that Basil not only has this compassion for individuals and the need to help individuals, and he did that with our urgent appeals in the Asian Human Rights Commission, helping to speak out for ordinary poor people, peasants, farmers, working people, people living in the slum areas of town who were usually victimized by the police because they couldn't afford a good lawyer, or they couldn't afford any lawyer. And so Basil said, we must help these people. So we had urgent appeals asking people to respond to writing to the government, to the police, and others to speak out. With that, with Basil's analytical skills, he was able to start from those individual cases and then look at the structural problems and to document it and build up a structural analysis. Basil has amazing charismatic skills and pedagogical skills as well. He's able to meet with parliamentarians, lawyers, judges, as well as poor people, and to help them to understand and communicate not only the problems, but what needs to be done to change the situation. And so I'm very happy to see all that he has done so far being recognized by the Right Livelihood Award. And I think he justly deserves it, and I congratulate him wholeheartedly.
It's an enormous responsibility that Basil has handed over, and it is an honor to be in his shoes at the moment. And the declaration, the award came at this time. But I think it is also equally a recognition to people who have been killed, disappeared, extrajudicially executed, tortured across Asia, like Gerard Pereira in Sri Lanka, uh, lawyer Somchai Nilapachit in Thailand, the Adhikari couple, of which the husband passed away just 3 days before after having found no end to their pursuit of justice to find who actually killed their son in Nepal. Faraz Basir Naveed in Pakistan, who was tortured and murdered. And so many thousands of people who have suffered at the hands of the state for not doing anything, and in some occasions challenging the arbitrariness of the state, or just being, they're just poor. So this award is also equally recognition to all these people and thousands of those whom we actually do not even know by name, who have been associated with AHRC's work in the past and who will be getting associated with our work in the future. So this award is a recognition not only for Asian Human Rights Commission, but that of all of its partners in the countries where we work, and all our supporters, like so many supporters who have supported us all the way through to realize this dream of the pursuit of justice, helping the pursuit of justice of people in Asia who are some of the poorest of the poor of the world.
With us in the studio now, we have the awardee himself, Mr. Basil Fernando. Welcome, Basil, and congratulations to the Right Livelihood Award.
Thank you.
Now, what was your reaction when you first heard about this award?
Of course, naturally you feel to some extent a bit humbled, but at the same time very extremely happy. Happy not only for myself, but also for the Asian Human Rights Commission and all the colleagues. Because this means the recognition of the work we have been doing in isolation. So many people have worked so hard, and getting recognition for this kind of work is difficult. But also another factor that was quite encouraging was the fact that with this award we come to the family of Right to Livelihood, which means the people who have received this award from all over the world from 1980. That's a large number of human rights activists who in different ways are doing the similar kind of work that we do. See, essentially, the kind of recognition in human rights work is to get recognized the validity of the work which is dealing with human suffering. So that to be associated with large number of such people should encourage us more to be in this work with the knowledge that we are not isolated.
Now, you have been a leading human rights defender in Asia for 3 decades. What are some of your reflections and takeaways from all the work that you've done during those years?
See, again, we come back to the same issue. There had been large number of people before us in this work. There will be large number of people after us in this work. So we are at this moment in this work on human rights, and today I think the greatest challenges in the world is around the whole human rights issue. See, the global development is towards recognizing that there is nothing of importance. See, even human beings are not of importance. That's the kind of the global, even in the thought leaders trying to create. But our work is that there is value even in the most humble person. And this is a different depth of recognition of equality. that a person who has been tortured, a person family who has, somebody has disappeared and therefore they have been put to the worst kind of suffering. People who are working on slave-like labor practices, which are surfacing more and more despite of modernity. My feeling more and more is that there is a greater consciousness about these issues. See, the time that I was an undergraduate in the law faculty, word human rights was hardly mentioned. We did not have a single lecture in the university course on human rights. Today, every course almost begins with human rights and ends with human rights. And so the whole idea that there is a dimension called human rights, even for the dictator, is become a headache. I think in a very big way, the rights consciousness is growing. But that is not a reason for complacency, because the forces of the control, repression and dictatorship are also very strong. And I think they become stronger when they realize there's a resistance. The people today have the capacity to resist. See, one of the most moving stories is the manner in which Nandaprasad Adhikari, the father of a disappeared boy, puts up a fight to the very end with a 333 days fast, and who finally died this week. Every disappeared family who get at least a few person in that family who suffer through life. Many of them don't know what to do, but this father found the way to public protest. He and his wife, for them the most precious thing was the son. But it's not just for one son. It is symbolically for people who had been put into that position always. So it is truly a struggle unto death, a fast unto death, and this father's courage is a legend that will live, and we should make sure that this legend will live. But when I look at the value of a human life, is if you can connect to the next generation, the future, and it is to them that we must have a challenge, as well as also to link. Do we measure up to their expectations? And today we will find they have very high expectations. This generation, these coming generations, are going to challenge most of the things that we found difficult to challenge. People are beginning to see a huge amount of manipulation, that lies are being told, and that many of the things that we know as history are lies. And we know we have greater ability to know more information. So with all these, which is bound to expand, despite of enormous threats. Of course, within few minutes we can all disappear. That's the kind of world we live. But there is far more reasons to be positive about the humanity's future. And that is what I have learned out of all the work we do bring us to the negative experiences. The disappearances is a very, a difficult thing to be dealing with when we know the actual people. When we know that we cannot say a consoling word to these people, that they will never be consoled till the very end. But by association with these people, we know what are the deeper areas of the problems of the thing. Torture is, widespread torture is a very disheartening thing to do. How can so many human beings be so cruel to innocent people, the poor people, the powerless people? See, a powerful person fighting with a powerful person, you can see that they are equal. But these people who have been given power, using it on the most, the weakest sections of people, these are extremely disheartening experiences. But we should not look at these things as in order to reinforce our negative feelings. What you see at all of these things is, even at that point the people resist, and it is the resistance that is the most creative aspect of humanity, that we can resist, and that resistance exists, and we should encourage.
As Mr. Fernando mentioned in the interview, Nandaprasad Adhikari has died fighting for justice after fasting for 11 months in Nepal. His wife, who's also fasting, is in critical condition. The Adhikari couple has been demanding legal action against the Maoist group which abducted and murdered their 17-year-old son, Krishna Prasad, in 2004. AHRC TV will report more on this case in next week's program. That is all for this weekly roundup. For more on the work of the Asian Human Rights Commission over the last 3 decades, you can read the book History and Achievements, Asian Human Rights Commission and Asian Legal Resource Center. You can also watch the hour-long video, The Story of 30 Years of Commitment. For both of these, log on to www.humanrights.asia. Thank you for watching and see you next week.